Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another day here at Bronie's desk in Bronie's world. And Ben and I had a little fun with that yesterday on a one-on-one call. But anyway, guys, I have been asked if we could ask Ben on his thoughts and so forth, and a little bit more education on something that seems to be out there a lot at the moment and going around, and it's confusing a lot of people, and that's the thing called the stem cells. There are patches, there are this, there are that, and there are things that, like everything, there's the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I have asked Ben to educate us a little bit on stem cells, on the good, the bad, and the ugly of that industry and that side of health. So with no further ado, my dear Ben, I'm handing it over to you.
Well, thank you, Bronwyn. Nice to see you and nice to see everybody. I'm not sure exactly why we're talking about stem cells, because they really don't have anything to do with, well, I shouldn't say that. Nutritional supplementation and all the things we talk about on this program, on this Zoom call every week, are about making the environment of the body hospitable to cells and conducive to good health. And hospitability to cells and being conducive to good health involves having healthy stem cells. So if you want your stem cells to be healthy, you want healthy stem cells, you got to address the triangle of disease. You got to avoid the bad foods, make sure you get the good foods, do supplementing, not to mention exercise and breathing and meditation, and think mental and emotional strategies and spiritual strategies, all the things we talk about. That's how you address stem cells. This idea of targeting stem cells is really a misunderstanding of how the body works. An example of how we really overthink things. Now, that's the stem cells. There are medical applications of stem cells that can be advantageous and can be quite helpful. I'll explain how this works here in a second. But stem cells in general, or addressing stem cells in general, addressing our natural stem cells, is really just a question of good living, which is what we talk about here on the program all the time. Medical stem cells are drugs. They're prescription drugs, and they're kept in special vials, and they're kept in the refrigerator, and they're injected into various tissues, ligaments and joints, and those are the most common places where they're injected for folks who are dealing with degenerative joint disease and connective tissue issues, where they can induce the growth of new tissue. And that's really where stem cells excel and shine, and you can do some really good things from a medical perspective with stem cells. So what exactly is a stem cell? A stem cell is a cell that can become anything. It's a blank cell, sort of like in, you ever play Scrabble? Do you guys have Scrabble down there, down under?
Oh, yes, we do.
You know,
it's not my favorite game.
Okay, good. Then you know what I'm going to talk about here. You have little squares with letters, right?
Yes.
A, B, C, D, etc. But then you have blank squares that could be any letter. Right? That's kind of a stem cell. You got 200 or so different types of cells in your body: kidney cells, bone cells, immune cells, brain cells, etc. And then you have blank cells, or these blank cards that can become anything. That's a stem cell. Stem cell can become anything. We say it's a pluripotent cell. In biology, pluripotent means plura, many, potent, strength. A stem cell is pluripotent. It has many different strengths. It could become a blood cell. It can turn into a bone cell. It can turn into a muscle cell, depending on the environment it's sitting in. So stem cells that are sitting in muscle will become muscle cells. Stem cells that are sitting in skin will become skin cells. Stem cells that are living in the joints will become connective tissue cells, or joint cells. Stem cells that live in the kidneys will become kidney cells. You get where I'm going here?
Yes.
A stem cell can become anything, and what determines what it will become is the environment it's sitting in, which means you can take a stem cell out of your mouth, out of your gum, and put it in your cartilage. It'll become a cartilage cell. You can take a stem cell out of your blood, and you can put it in your skin. It'll become a skin cell, because it's the environment that the stem cell is sitting. They call it the niche that the stem cell is sitting in that determines what that stem cell will turn into. So a stem cell is pluripotent. It could be anything it wants until it decides what it's going to be. Once it decides what it's going to be, then it's going to be a kidney cell, bone cell, skin cell, whatever it is. Until then, it's pluripotent. What's more is until then, it's immortal. It never dies. How do you like that? We have cells in our body that never die. And I don't know if I've told you about the wisdom of a stem cell, right? Have I ever talked about the wisdom of a stem cell?
I think you have talked about it a little bit before, a long time ago.
It's a great way to get women angry at me, but I do it for my men friends. Stem cell, I say this is the wisdom of a stem cell, and I'll probably make all the ladies angry at me, but all the men will slap me on the back, give me high fives.
Go on.
This is the wisdom of a stem cell.
Just as well you're that side of the screen.
What?
Just as well you're that side of the screen and on the other side of the world, isn't it?
Yes, I'm on the other side of the screen, so I can't get hurt. So I call this the wisdom of a stem cell. A stem cell is immortal. It never dies. It's pluripotent. It can be anything it wants to be until it does one thing. When it does this one thing, it loses its immortality. It becomes mortal. It'll die. It loses its pluripotency. It can only be one thing. It can no longer do anything it wants to do. It can just be one thing. That one thing that stem cell does that destroys its pluripotency or ends its pluripotency and destroys its immortality or ends its immortality, the one thing is when the stem cell commits. So ladies out there, when your guy says he doesn't want to commit, that's why. The wisdom of a stem cell. We intuitively know that once we commit, we're no longer pluripotent and we become mortal. I call that the wisdom of a stem cell. Anyway, I know, guys, give me a high five.
Look, Liz, I know a lot of ladies who don't want to commit.
I know, it's true too. I'm teasing a little bit, but that's kind of an interesting analogy. Once we commit to something, we can only be that. And it's true that people are afraid to commit. People, not just men, I'm teasing about that, but we all have a little fear of commitment because once we know once we commit, we're locked in. And that's what happens to a stem cell. So stem cells can be anything they want to be: blood cells, bone cells, muscle cells, whatever, skin cells, depending on the niche they're in. And what scientists have figured out, if they take a cell out of the bone and they put it into the blood, it'll become a blood cell. And this is especially important for cartilage and degenerated tissue. And if you had bone-on-bone arthritis, for example, and they inject stem cells into your joints, you can regrow cartilage, and they're quite effective. However, marketing is a very duplicitous and unfortunately dishonest sometimes, not always, business. And so the cachet, the sound, the feeling, the idea of stem cells has become misappropriated for products. And so now you got products, especially I'm in the skincare business, you guys know that. And the skincare business is notorious for being duplicitous. And so you have products that say, oh, stem cells, we got stem cells in here. And now you told me, Bronie, I didn't know this, but there's patches that have stem cells in them, blah, blah, blah. There ain't no stem cells in patches. There ain't no stem cells in skincare because a stem cell is a cell. It's alive. It has to be fed. It has to be oxygenated. It has to have raw materials to do its work. You can't put a cell on a patch any more than you could put an insect on a patch or any living thing on a patch or in a cream. So what you want to do if somebody's telling you about stem cells and patches or in creams, read the fine print, because while they may hint and imply that there's stem cells in the cream or in the patches or wherever it is, they can't legally say it. So they'll play you got to read the fine print. For example, in skincare, there's something called Meri stem cells. Meri, M-E-R-I, a Meri stem cell is a plant stem cell. And so skincare companies will use apple stem cells or orange stem cells in their skincare products, but they won't tell you that. They'll say contains stem cells, or they won't even say that. They'll say contains extracts of stem cell extracts. Nobody will ever say stem cells. They'll always say stem cell extracts, or another sneaky little term is stem cell conditioned media. Conditioned media is a liquid that had stem cells at one time, had stem cells in it, and now just has the stuff from the stem cell that got secreted into the medium. So there's no stem cells available without a prescription. There's no stem cells that are viable, that can be kept alive outside of a very controlled setting, like a vial that's kept in the freezer or in the refrigerator. And even then, there's still going to be a short shelf life because it's alive and it has to have constant nourishment. So stem cells are really much ado about nothing, unless you're getting them injected medically, in which case they can have some benefits. Any other than that, they're just, excuse my French, BS. Now, what you can do is you can support the health of your stem cells. And that's just doing all the good things, which we should all be doing. Keeping your stem cells healthy, keeping the body's environment healthy. And again, this is why I always say smart people suffer from one very important disease, which really messes us up. What's that disease? Overthinkitis. We overthink. And if you are listening to this talk that, this weekly talk that we do, if you're regular on these weekly talk we do, probably noticed I repeat myself over and over and over and over. There's not that much to say. All disease is cell disease. All cell disease is preceded by dirty blood. The blood becomes dirty through the digestive system. There's 3 points of bodily breakdown that underlie all chronic degenerative disease: the digestive system and the blood sugar system primarily, and then the adrenal thyroid complex. It's all the same stuff, people. Don't overthink. Get back to the basics. This is why I love longevity so much, by the way, and this is why longevity's been around for so long, because they're just doing the basics. They're doing the stuff everybody needs, whether you're healthy or not. And that's a whole nother thing. You don't have to be sick. We sometimes, because we're always talking to sick people, and on these calls, we're always answering questions from sick people. Healthy people need longevity. Young people need longevity. Everybody needs the mighty 90 essential nutrients, no matter what your health challenge is. And for that matter, everybody needs to be addressing digestive health and blood sugar health and the adrenal thyroid axis. And everybody needs to be addressing the 4 points of the 4 dimensions of healing: spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical. We all need to be doing these. Don't overthink. We can all do this. Eat less calories, supplement more, stay away from seed oils and processed fats and sugars and refined carbohydrates. Make sure you're eating lots of veggies. Stay away from processed foods. Patch up a leaky gut. Yes. Eat lots of eggs. There's so many ways that we can stay healthy that it's almost like we have to go out of our way to be sick. It takes a lot of work to be sick because it's in the body's nature to heal, which means that as soon as you put the good stuff in and the bad stuff out, you get better and quickly. And that's really all it amounts to. If you want to boil it down to the simplest equation, it's good stuff in and bad stuff out. And that's not just true physically, that's also true mentally, emotionally, and physically, and mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. All right, does that help with stem cells?
Sorry, Ben?
That help explain stem cells?
Well, it does to me. Is that good for everyone? Karen, do you have questions in your room?
Yes, I do. How are the stem cells manufactured in the body?
They're not manufactured. You're born with them.
And I thought
you're born with stem cells. Born with stem cells, and then there's also a nursery. You're born with stem cells. They're born with stem cells, but there's a nursery. Believe it or not, this is kind of interesting. There's a nursery of stem cells called the mesenchyme, which is the connective tissue, and tissue similar to the connective tissue called stroma, which surrounds the body's organs. And this is like a stem cell nursery, and they're constantly being pumped out. They're constantly being pumped out. You don't have to think about it. Nature takes care of that. Does that make sense? You guys follow me? They come from the mesenchyme. The mesenchyme is a type of connective that surrounds all the cells. It's almost like it's like a factory, a stem cell factory. I think of like a stem cell nursery. Like, in outer space, there are star nurseries where stars are born. Did you know this? In outer space, stars are constantly being born from what they call nurseries, galactic nurseries. And stars are constantly being born. It's the same thing. Stem cells we're born. Their embryo is the major source of them. When we're born, our embryo makes stem cells. When we're born, we got a bunch of stem cells. But the second kind comes from the connective tissue, or the mesenchyme, technically, which is a precursor to the connective tissue. mesenchyme, mesenchyme.
Anna's got a question.
Just a quick question, Ben, about there's a big marketing drive for these patches that you stick on your skin, and
there's no stem cells in them. I know. Are they called LifeWave?
yes.
I know all about LifeWave.
Okay, what do you think about it?
Not like the Mighty 90 essential nutrients.
Well.
There's no essential need for LifeWave patches. You know, some of the LifeWave patches have some nutrients in them. I don't know the whole line, but I know there's a couple that have nutrition in them. But others have caffeine in them, and others have herbs in them. You know, it's cute. It's not the Mighty 90 essential nutrients. There's nothing that compares to that. Nothing. And there's all multi-level companies looking for kinds of technologies. And you know what? If you're really healthy, you know, and you have everything you need, LifeWave maybe, but you still need vitamin C and vitamin D and E and K and essential fatty acids and all the amino acids and all the 80 minerals or so, or 70 minerals or so. You need them all. LifeWave does not replace that. So if you're doing the Mighty 90 essential nutrients and you want to add something to them, yeah, LifeWave is going to hurt you. It's not going to change your world. And I know a lot of people.
There's the stem cell patches though in the line.
Let me repeat this, okay? Because read my lips. We had a guy, a president in the United States. He went, "Read my lips. No new taxes." And then about a year later, taxes went up. So
that happens here too.
Yeah, I know. That's what so much for politicians. Read my lips. No new taxes. George Bush. Anyway, read my lips. There's no stem cells in LifeWave patches. None. Zippo. Nada. It's not possible. It's not even logical. Because a cell can't live on a patch. A cell's alive. How can you have a living creature on a cell, on a patch? How's that even possible? Just logic tells you it's not possible. Now, I will say, if you read the fine print, it'll say there a weasel word, a qualifier, extract, conditioned media, derivative. It'll say something that is kind of a qualifier. It'll say stem cells in big letters, and then it'll say conditioned media in small letters. Do you have a product? Does anybody have the product there? Does anybody have? We can test it here. Let me look it. I'm going to look it up real quick.
I don't know. Does anyone in your room have the product, Karen?
No, not that I know of.
You cannot have here it is, LifeWave patches, stem cell. Okay, here I'm going to tell you what it says. It's not possible. Here, elevate your performance. Okay, let's see where it says. I'm looking. It's called X49 stem cell therapy. It doesn't say stem cells, it's stem cell therapy. Right away, you can see a little word there, right? Therapy. That means it's helping your stem cells. That doesn't mean stem cells. Guys, you got to be wise as a serpent, gentle as a dove. It's a sneaky world out there. It's a jungle out there. All right, so let me hear. Let's see what it says. Embark on a transformative journey with X49. And by the way, I have a journalism degree, and I've written copy. Before I was a pharmacist, I used to write copy for a record company, for bands. So I have a special fondness for copywriting. Embark on a transformative journey with X49, a cutting-edge formula designed to take your performance to new heights while accelerating recovery and promoting deep relaxation. Recover faster with X49's advanced support system, which is designed to reduce recovery time, harnessing the power of patented phototherapy technology. That's the thing about stem cells. Nowhere. It's just in the name.
That's kind of false advertising, isn't it?
Really, because it's legal. But that's where we have to become smart consumers. It doesn't say it has stem cells anywhere, and it can't. Logically, it cannot say it has stem cells in it. Do you understand?
It doesn't have stem cells. It's
No, so it doesn't have stem cells in it at all. So it's false. It's false and misleading.
Can't have stem cells. It's not. It's stem. You know what it is? Here it says it right here. You ready? Stem. You ready? You guys listening out there in Aussie land? Ready? This is what it says. Stem cell activation patch.
That's what we are aware
Yeah,
of.
yeah,
We know
yeah,
that.
that's right, yeah.
See that? It's a stem cell activation patch. You guys, you got to be wise as a serpent. You've got to be careful. You got to read carefully. To the uninitiated, which they're counting on, they're not counting on Pharmacist Ben talking to anybody. They probably aren't going to, they're probably not very happy that I'm doing this. The stem cell activation patch. It's not stem cells. It's a bunch of ingredients that activate stem cells. What activates stem cells? First of all, you don't want stem cells activated. You want your stem cells to decide that they need to grow, because stem cells can also make things grow out of control. That's called cancer. You don't want that. You want stem cells regulated. You want growth regulated. In the body, the growth is tightly regulated. And what is it that regulates the growth? Nutrition, vitamins, minerals, aminos, fatty acids. They regulate the growth. So I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but get online and look about your stem cell activation patch.
Okay, so yeah, so for what I'm getting is you don't know what cell is going to activate, and it could activate cancer.
Well, stem cells will make things grow. Stem cells will turn into bone cells, but you don't want stem cells growing out of control. You want them tightly regulated. Yes, there could be stem cells are growth. They grow fast. They grow. Stem cells make things grow. Because think about a stem cell. Here's a stem cell. It turns into a bone cell. Now your bone cell is going to grow. So you got to be careful about how cells grow and how you're affecting growth. So it's not like stimulating stem cells is going to cause cancer. I don't want to say that, but you just want growth controlled in the body. You don't want it to grow willy-nilly, but you don't have to worry about it, because the stem cells are regulated by your food and by your nutrition and by your lifestyle. In fact, we have a chronic degenerative disease crisis around the world of biblical proportions. In this country, and it's probably worse, if not the same, if not worse in your country, 50% of people have one chronic disease. 30 to 40% have two chronic degenerative disease, and 20 to 30% have 3 or 4 chronic degenerative diseases. It's a crazy problem we have out there. And so what is causing this problem? Well, if you boil it down, the main cause of our health challenges today is we're getting too much energy relative to the amount of nutrition. The energy makes things move really, really fast. And so we're all, from a metabolic perspective, that's a chemistry perspective, we're revved up. This is what inflammation is about. This is what activated immunity is about. Everything's moving really, really fast. What are the animals that live the longest? Not mice, not fruit flies, not squirrels. The animals that live the longest are elephants and sharks, and whales, and rhinoceroses and turtles and tortoises. Animals that move really slow, have a slow metabolism. The animals that live the fastest, have the shortest life, have the fastest metabolism, rev them up. What we're doing with energy in the year 2024 that has never happened before, although it's been increasing for the last 150 years or so, but really peaking in the year 2024, not peaking because it's going to get worse, is we're trying to get energy like we're trying to drink water out of a fire hose. Can you imagine you're really thirsty, you get water out of a fire hose, it's going to knock you out. That's the way we're inputting energy into the body. We're feeding the body with energy because the body loves energy, but it didn't know about French fries. It didn't know about Snickers bars. It didn't know about pizza. It didn't know that these kinds of foods were possible because for millions of years as our bodies were developing, there were none of these foods. So the body grew up in a state of energy deficit. And it evolved to try to hunt for energy and to store energy and to love energy. And as soon as you put energy in your body, your brain goes, yeah, energy. Because to the brain, you're still on the African savannah 2 million years ago, or 200,000 or 500,000 years ago. So you put energy in the system, the brain goes, yeah. It doesn't know that you're in the year 2024. And so we're on this, all of us are putting way too much energy into the body, and we're revving it up, and we're frying our circuits. And by circuits, I mean our cells. And specifically, if you want to really boil it down, it's called the mitochondria, which you've probably heard of. Our mitochondria are the little structures in the cell that turn food into energy, usable, not food into energy, but food into usable energy. But our mitochondria are frying out because our cells are being flooded with energy that they never had to deal with for eons from an evolutionary perspective. That's why the less you eat, the longer you live. That's why calorie restriction is the only proven way to increase longevity. That's why elevated caloric intake is associated with metabolic and chronic diseases. That's why the ketogenic diet is good for almost everything, from Alzheimer's disease to heart disease to cancer to skin problems to liver issues to everything. So calming the body down spiritually by plugging into God and feeling safe, mentally and emotionally by relaxation strategies and anti-anxiety strategies and slow, deep breathing, and physically by reducing caloric intake and increasing the micronutrient, vitamins, minerals, aminos, fatty acids, the mighty 90 essential nutrients, to calorie ratio. The proportion of mighty 90 essential nutrients to calories. And I'll tell you what, guys, start counting your calories. You'll be shocked. You only need about 1,000 to 1,200 calories a day, if that. You may be able to eat 800. I do 1,000, 1,200 very comfortably. No struggle at all. 800, you could probably do 800. Count your calories. If you're like most people, you're getting 3,000 or 4,000 calories a day. One day, that's triple or quadruple the calories in one day. But imagine 2 days, 3 days, a week, a month, years, decades of all of this. So you want to live longer? Sometimes people say, well, I can't afford to supplement. I can't really afford all this. You'll save money. You'll eat less. One meal a day. One meal a day, and have some celery juice in the middle. Figure out ways to reduce your calories. Here's a great way to reduce your calories. This is awesome. I do this every day. It's amazing. Ready for this?
Yeah.
Drink water. Get yourself tomorrow morning, get yourself a big, you got to do a lot of it, not just sipping on it. 32 ounces. Okay? It's about a quarter of a gallon, a quart. Or you guys call it, I forget what you guys call it, liter.
Yeah.
Okay? A liter of water. Good water. Maybe put some Beyond Tangy Tangerine in there. And drink that down quickly, maybe in 5 minutes or so. I guarantee you won't want to eat breakfast. And if you do eat breakfast, you'll have much less. Because water, number one, is filling. Water, number two, is energizing. And dehydration can get interpreted as hunger. You may simply be dehydrated if you're not drinking half a gallon to a gallon a day. Rest assured, you probably are dehydrated. Most people aren't. So there's so many ways to reduce our caloric intake. Another really important aspect of caloric intake is we eat for happiness. We eat for pleasure and joy. We eat when we're depressed. We eat when we're bored. We eat for reasons other than being hungry. Now, as I'm talking to you, I know I can't really see you guys, but I know there's somebody out there who's rolling their eyes or who's thinking in their head that this guy is full of baloney, or I am never stopping my pizza. I love pizza too much. And that's I'm teasing a little bit, but that's kind of how we think about food. And it's very hard to communicate that message because we consider food to be a treat. Treat. I'm going to have a treat. You may even call it a treat, right? I have a treat, or we have our kid, our grandchild, or our kid is is we want to reward them, we give them a treat. So we've corrupted the idea of food. Lions and tigers and animals in the wild, they don't have treats. They don't eat when they're bored. Lions don't eat when they're depressed. You know, animals, wild animals, eat and then stop eating. As soon as they're done, as soon as they're full, they stop eating. And they don't eat for days if they're full. We become domesticated. And it's no accident that our pets suffer from the same diseases we do, because our pets are domesticated. You know, there's kitty Prozac and doggy Prozac because our dogs and cats are depressed and have anxiety. Lions in the wild don't have anxiety. In zoos, they may have anxiety, but in the wild, they don't have anxiety. So we have corrupted the idea of food, and we're paying the price for it. But that's good news, because what it means is we can make changes. If we have the discipline and the willpower to do it, we can make changes. And it's not that hard, really, because as soon as you do make changes, you start to feel good. And that's the beautiful thing about everything we're talking about here today. Ultimately, you feel good. Ultimately, you feel like not only do you feel good physically, but you feel good psychologically. Because you feel like you're doing something for yourself. You feel like you're actually making headway in this game called life. When you're sick, it's like, and I know some of you guys out there, because I talk to you, it's like, oh my God, what do I do? This is terrible. Am I going to live? Am I going to die? I don't understand what's happening. There's so much fear and anxiety, and it brings this sense of uncertainty into our lives when we're unhealthy, that once we correct that situation, we feel great. And that's why we're here. That's why longevity is here. Longevity is here to help you feel great. And that's why we have the financial side of things too, because with appropriate finances, you'll also feel great. That's what health and wealth have in common. When you correct your wealth problems and your health problems, you feel good about life. And God didn't put us here not to feel good about life. God didn't put us on planet Earth to suffer. We're here to have life and life more abundantly. And that's our birthright. We've set the bar so low that we're just happy if we wake up in the morning. We're just happy if we're not in chronic pain all day. We're here to thrive, people. We're here to just have explosive energy and to be able to bolt out of bed and be able to resist disease and not to have to go to the doctor ever. Not to ever have to go to the doctor. That's why we're here on planet Earth, and that's what longevity is here to help us all do. Praise God. And that's what Dr. Wallet's mission was when he started longevity. And hopefully, if you're distributors out there, that's what you can contribute to the world, to your neighbors, to your loved ones, and to your friends and family, as well as to yourself, of course. It's the gift of thrival, the gift of joie de vivre, joy for life, the gift of being just explosively, ecstatically rapturous every day. How does that sound? That's what's possible.
Sounds wonderful.
Doesn't it? That's what's possible. Not only is it possible, it's what our birthright is. Praise God.
Amen. Amen. All right. So you're.
Has anyone got a question? Another question?
Yes. Yes.
Go on. Quick.
No.
Anyone got a question?
What's the opinion of the carnivore diet?
Oh,
I mean, it's kind of
the carnivore diet. Yeah, no, the carnivore diet's good, isn't it, Ben, to an extent?
Okay, so you want to talk about the carnivore diet?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let me tell you about the carnivore diet. The carnivore diet is carnivore, meat. I think eggs are part of the carnivore diet. Probably fish is part of the carnivore diet. It's not an intelligent diet. However, if you're used to eating seed oils, processed fats, vegetable oils, processed carbohydrates, you're doing the standard, we call it the standard American diet, you call it the standard Australian diet or the standard New Zealand diet. If you're used to that, you may notice that with the carnivore diet you improve. Not because of the carnivore diet, but because of what you're not doing. The problem with the carnivore diet is, number one, you don't get fiber. And fiber is not only important for the digestive system, it's important for the hormone system, and it's important for the entire body by virtue of its ability to feed the gut bacteria. You don't get any fiber with the carnivore diet. That alone tells you it's a bad thing. Number two, you don't get any vitamin C in the carnivore diet because vitamin C is only found in plants. So, except with the exception, eggs have a little bit of vitamin C in them. So you're going to be deficient in vitamins fiber, and you're going to be deficient in vitamin C with the carnivore diet. Thirdly, there are phytonutrients that are relevant for health in very, very tiny amounts, and we don't recognize them as essential nutrients. They call flavonoids and carotenes, and resveratrol is one of them you probably heard of, and phytoestrogens. There's a whole bunch of them. There's hundreds of them, thousands of them. You don't get them to a great extent. You'll get some of them, but not a lot of them in the carnivore diet. So between the deficiencies in phytonutrients, the deficiencies in fiber, and the deficiencies in vitamin C, right away you got a big problem. But it's worse. Because while the carnivore diet sounds all wonderful, the problem with it is, I get to eat hamburgers, I get to eat steak. The way we feed our animals is horrific. The way we treat our farm animals is so nauseating. If you could see what factory farming is like, where they have the chickens, they have their beaks cut off because they're all cramped together, and they have the cows all stuck together in these pens, and their head sticks out every couple hours to eat the grain. And the fish are kept so tight together that they attract sea lice. And all lice, you know what lice is, right? They call them sea lice.
Yeah.
And in order to protect against the infections and the bacteria that can accumulate in these animals because of the way they're farmed, they have to give them all kinds of antibiotics. And then on top of that, they got to give them hormones. And so between the deficiencies and the important nutrients like vitamin C and fiber and the phytonutrients and the way we treat our animals, that great to eat a lot of animal products, although there is good quality protein and quality nutrients in animal products. There's no getting around that. Eggs are a power food.
Look, I'm running.
What's that? What did they say?
Bronwyn's face.
Yeah, your face was
Bronwyn's
like
face.
I can't. What did they say, Bronwyn?
Oh, they're just talking about my face.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so the carnivore diet is not a tremendously intelligent way to eat, although there are incredible valuable nutrients in animal products for sure. Butter and eggs are incredibly important. Also fish, seafood, shellfish. Also algae. Algae is an amazing, it's not really an animal food. It's a kind of a cross between an animal and a bacteria, I suppose, an algae. So I don't know if that's part of the carnivore diet or not, but algae are amazingly valuable. Fucoid's an algae. The Fucoid Z is a great way to get algae into your body. By the way, the Fucoid Z is much more than fucoidin. It's got everything in algae, and algae has everything. You guys understand this? Algae has everything. Algae has all of the mighty 9 essential nutrients, everything, plus protein, plus quality fats that you can't get anywhere. Algae is amazing, and the Fucoid Z contains that. I saw a question about hemochromatosis there.
Yeah.
We have a question. Liver. That's a liver problem, and the reason doctors can't do anything about it is because they're not taking care of the liver. It's a liver issue. The liver, a lot of things you can do for the liver, but the most important is work on your blood sugar. It's part of liver disease is part of metabolic syndrome. So you got to work on the blood sugar. But there's other things too. Dr. Ariaza's liver cleanse is also going to be helpful for anybody who has a liver problem. And then, of course, the liver is a digestive organ, so working on intestinal health and digestive health is going to be important. It's the triangle, the whole triangle of disease. And I've gotten lately not to make it a triangle, but make it a line because it gets a little confusing with the adrenal thyroid axis. So just food, digestion, and blood sugar. That's how you deal with the liver. And then Dr. Ariaza, it's hard to say that, Dr. Ariaza's liver cleanse is great for livers that are clogged up and also for the gallbladder. And the ultimate enzymes can be thought of as a liver supplement as much as they're an intestinal supplement and a stomach supplement. So they're also going to be important. We probably have other liver products. Do you know offhand, Bronie, other liver products? I-26, by the way, that could be helpful. Go.
We
Diane's friend of
the
yours.
ocean gold and
The pollen burst
Diane-
would be
the pollen burst.
liver.
That's not specifically for liver, but Diane, is this
Yeah, the
somebody you
liver-
know?
Pollen burst.
Yeah, she said it's genetic.
Okay. Everything. All right.
Is
So
it?
let me run by that. Let me run that by one more time. That's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. But before we get to that, when you have hemochromatosis, you go back to the triangle. You work on the digestive system with food, I-26, have her do a food diary, elimination diet, all of that. And if you know her or you're in contact with her, you will be a hero and you will be a psychic, because you're going to tell her, hey, you got bowel problems, you got intestinal problems, and she'll go, oh my God, how did you know? And you'll say, it's the triangle of disease. So you work on the digestive system and the blood sugar system is what I'm saying. Now you asked something that's very interesting, and I kind of roll my eyes, but I shouldn't roll my eyes now because it's an interesting question. You said, is it genetic? Okay. Yes, it's genetic. Of course it's genetic. Everything is genetic. Watch my finger. See how I turned it? That's genetic. Okay? Look at my eye. I just winked my eye. Genetic. Okay? Standing up, genetic. It's all genetic. Everything, every single function in the body is genetic. When people say genetic, what they really mean is heredity. Hereditary.
Right.
They're saying genetic, but they really mean hereditary.
Mm-hmm.
You follow me?
Yep.
Heredity is what you inherit.
Mm.
And genes are involved in heredity. But genes are involved in everything. So when you say it's genetic, well, yeah, but everything's genetic,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Okay.
There's
Yep.
nothing that's not genetic. Every single function in your body is genetic,
Right.
right? But what they mean, it's hereditary.
Yeah.
They're confusing two words. So let's talk about hereditary.
Mm-hmm.
There's very little in the way of chronic disease that's hereditary. In fact, I would say probably nothing. Hereditary is your eye color, your
Right.
hair color, your race or your gender, your height. There are some things that are hereditary. There's a small fraction of our genes are inherited. And those are the genes for your race and, the things that make you you, although
Yep.
there's some controversy there even as well. Some people say those can be changed. But for now, there's a small slice, 5% maybe, 10%. So I don't know the number, but a small percentage of your genes are inherited. And
Right.
but that's not disease. That's not cancer. That's not MTHFR. That's not hemochromatosis. That's not diabetes. That's not psoriasis. Doctors will say that when they don't know what causes some. Oh, it's in your family.
Right. Okay.
They'll say. So when they say genetic, they mean hereditary. And there are some genes that are inherited, passed on through heredity, through your parents, grandparents. It goes way back sometimes. It can go way, way back. And in fact, the microbiome, the bacteria in your gut, those can be inherited, or at least the particular species in the gut, those can be inherited. So there's certain things that are inherited. But for the most part, genetics are responsive to the environment for better or worse. You
Right.
put a lot of sugar in there, you're going to activate genes associated with growth and blood fats and cell division, and you're going to wreak havoc on your body for worse. You start taking vitamin C and thinking good thoughts and praising Jesus, you're going to activate epigenetics that'll give you a long life. So that's what we really want to do when we're talking about health. What we're really talking about is activating good genes. That's really what it's about, because
Right.
everything is genetic.
Mm-hmm.
Did I explain that okay?
Yep. Yep. So just put her on the 90 essentials.
I would go back to the triangle. Hemochromatosis is a liver issue. The liver, the
Okay.
ancient Greeks,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
the liver cleanse. The ancient Greeks thought the liver was the brain. They
Right.
thought that was the most important part of the body, because the liver is the biggest organ, first of all, and the liver also is responsible for hundreds of different functions. Hundreds of different functions. A liver cell, which is, it's microscopic. You can't see it.
Yep.
Try and give you an analogy of how small it is. You can fit hundreds of them on a head of a pin, end to end, is capable of producing up to 500 different chemicals every minute or every second even. Do you know a cell can produce 1 billion chemical reactions a second? Let that land. 1 billion.
It's
A
amazing.
second. Can I get a praise God on that one? Holy moly. Holy moly.
That's
billion
pretty
times.
awesome.
What can happen 1 billion times a second? How can something possibly happen 1 billion times a second, yet cells are capable of that, right?
God certainly made
Amazing.
us very amazing.
It's staggering. The amazingness of our bodies, you guys.
Mm.
It should just make us just jaw drop, just amazed. Just we shouldn't be able to think of anything else, that our heart can pump 100,000 times a day, or that for the most part, all of these chemical reactions are happening in our body perfectly without us even thinking about it, even if we're sick. There's so much amazing miraculousness right under our noses. Sometimes people say, "Oh, there's no miracles anymore." Really? This whole thing, holy cow, no
Like
miracles.
you're alive is a miracle, right?
My God. Oh my God. Just to see yellow. Do you know the cells in your eye vibrate hundreds of trillions of times a second? So you can see blue, hundreds of trillions of times a second. All right. I'm not going to.
Harry, I want to go on to Grant, but Harry just quickly asked in the chat, are stem cells fed from the bone marrow?
Stem cells are cells. Cells are fed from the blood. All cells are fed from the blood. That's the role of this. This is why dirty blood is such a problem. Because the blood is supposed to feed the cells, including the stem cells. Once your blood becomes dirty, and I say dirty, I hope, that's kind of a graphic way of really representing what's happening. The blood becomes sticky and clotted. The blood supply, the blood flow, or the liquid blood, is a very complicated substance. Blood is actually a tissue, a liquid tissue, and it's very complex. And the balance of proteins and fats, and the pH, the acid level, and the temperature, and the hydration, the amount of water, is kept just so precise, tightly regulated. You know what I'm saying? It's just perfectly balanced. And what's even better is the body has an ability to balance everything out when things get out of whack. It can adjust within parameters, within a window. But when I say we have dirty blood, it means we've thrown that blood, all that stuff, the ratios and proportions and balances of everything in the blood, we've thrown it off. And we've interfered with that chemistry in a way that the blood has never seen before. And I'm talking about from an evolutionary perspective. In 2024, our blood, the 2024 edition of our blood is completely subjected to an array of forces that didn't exist a mere 100 years ago or 200 years ago. And all of a sudden it's there.
Even 5 years ago.
We're paying the price for it. But the good news is, primarily, the way the blood gets dirty is through the intestine. Also through the skin. If you inject through the skin, and also, maybe a little bit through the nose, but mostly through the skin and the intestine, and mostly through the intestine. And that's why, as Hippocrates said 2,700 years ago, all disease begins in the gut. Hippocrates, father of medicine. Not Ben. All right.
So Grant has a question. I do have other questions here, but I want to go to Grant because he's here.
Yes.
So Grant, fire away.
G'day.
Grant. Where's
Pharmacist Ben? It goes to me here.
I got him spotlighted.
Oh, no, why are you far away? Are you in New Zealand? Where are you?
No, I'm in
He's in
Australia.
Sydney.
I'm just,
All right, okay.
I'm not far away. I'll get closer to my camera.
Good.
There I am.
Okay, there you go. Hi, Grant.
I've been with longevity for a long time, and I've got a very good mate who's tried longevity, the basic start pack, but he tells me that he has a very bad reaction to tangy tangerine.
Define the bad reaction.
Okay, what he says that it burns when it goes down his throat, and it burns the lining of his intestine. He also tells me that he had a biopsy, and it came back inflamed. I do know a fair bit about this bloke because he's been my mate for 25 years, and I eat with him quite a lot. He's fairly overweight. He'd probably weigh 120 or 220 pounds.
Oh, not to worry about that. Not to worry about his health. It's the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Get him off the Beyond Tangy Tangerine and have him eat 3 McDonald's hamburgers a day and make sure he's eating lots of Twinkies morning, noon, and night. No, I'm kidding. it's the beyond tangy tangerine. It's not the fact that he's got metabolic syndrome and he's got a disruption in his biochemistry and he's eating hot dogs. It's none of that. It's the beyond tangy tangerine. All right. So probably what's happening is, and I'm guessing here, I have to talk to him and ask him about a question, but this is let's say it's a possibility. What's happening? What's happening is he's got toxicity, particularly something called histamine, which I don't know if we've talked about this before. I don't know if you remember, getting into his blood through his leaky gut into the blood, intestinal permeability issues, and his immune system is spring loaded. Histamine is like when your histamine levels are high internally, it's kind of like with a mouse trap, and the spring is down on the mouse trap, and as soon as you put something in, boom, because it's spring loaded. In biology and immunology, they call it load, L-O-A-D, load. And that refers to what I call the straw that breaks the camel's back phenomena. And so what happens is you got to pretend the immune system, and that's what's burning is the immune system. That's what causes burning is the immune system. So pretend the immune system is like a camel, right? And you put stuff on the camel's back. You put histamine from the digestive system, a little more histamine from the digestive system, maybe some endotoxins from bacteria from the digestive system, maybe some immune complexes from gluten or something he's eaten, maybe put some sugar in to change the way the blood flow is, and all these things pile on the camel's back. And then he has some beyond tangy tangerine, boom, throws them over the camel's back because the beyond tangy tangerine is very, very active, and it may be activating a histamine response. I don't know. But I would venture to say that if he corrects his other problems, he'll be able to do the beyond tangy tangerine. Now, if he corrects his other problems, of course, he'll also live longer. He'll also have reduced likelihood of other diseases. He'll also have to go to the doctor less. He'll have to take less drugs. So if you do that anyway, he's going to start to feel better. And he may also, on bonus, he may also be able to take the beyond tangy tangerine. Beyond tangy tangerine does not inherently burn anybody. It's only if the system is predisposed to burning. You follow what I'm saying? There's nothing burning. I follow what you're saying. Yep. Right? There's nothing burning in the beyond tangy tangerine, but if the system is predisposed to it. So what we want to do is get the system unpredisposed. Yep. You follow? Eliminate the predisposition. And the predisposition, if you start working on the predisposition, he's going to get other health benefits, and he'll be able to do his beyond tangy tangerine. Pressure will drop. He'll lose weight. He'll feel better about himself. He'll have less sleep apnea. Whatever it is, there's 100 things, 100 ways he'll benefit. Plus, he'll be able to take the beyond tangy tangerine. Now, I'd have to talk specifically, but guaranteed, ask him. What's his name? What's your friend's name, Grant?
Michael.
Okay, so you ask Michael. Say, hey, do you have any digestive issues?
I know he has digestive issues. I know he does.
Well, hello.
I know he does, and I know he wouldn't change his diet, even though
that's another thing. That's another thing, and this is a very important point. Our message here, Grant and Bronie, and everybody listening out there, it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody, and I know we want to help everybody. I want to help everybody, but not everybody wants to be helped. You guys have seen Bugs Bunny, right? The cartoon Bugs Bunny. Yes. And there's this famous Bugs Bunny I always think of when somebody doesn't want help. And Bugs Bunny's walking this little old lady across the street, and the little old lady is hitting Bugs Bunny with her umbrella while he's trying to walk. He's going boom, boom, boom. Because the little old lady doesn't want any help. She wants to do it herself. She doesn't want your help. You know what? Sometimes people don't want help. Praise God. Everybody gets to be, the sun shines on everybody. Jesus loves everybody. We don't have to help people who don't want to be helped. And what's more, you can't help people who don't want to be helped. No. And Al-Anon, I don't know if do you know what Al-Anon is? Alcoholics Anonymous you know what Alcoholics Anonymous is, right?
I know what Alcoholics Anonymous is. Yep.
Right? Okay, Alcoholics Anonymous, and they have something called Al-Anon for like people who know alcoholics. Husbands, if you're a wife and your husband's an alcoholic, vice versa. Yep. It's very hard. If you have a loved one who's an alcoholic, this child, a spouse, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. The first thing they teach you in Al-Anon and the first thing they teach you in Alcoholics Anonymous is you are powerless over the alcoholic. You can do nothing for the alcoholic. You deal with yourself because you're powerless. That's literally uses those words as you are powerless over the alcoholic. It's the first, there's the 12 steps they call it. I forgot what step it is. It's one of the steps. And in alcohol, AA, they say you are powerless over alcohol. And so we have to get this idea that some people don't want to be helped. If it's me, Grant, and probably you, and probably people out there, and somebody said to me, hey, you know, if you stop eating this food, your blood pressure would drop, you'd live longer, you'd have lower scan. I'd do it right away. I wouldn't even think twice. If I had an autoimmune disease or if I had heart disease, I would stop. I have a friend who has heart disease. He didn't care. He goes to McDonald's and does the pies. He says, I don't care. I want it. Fine. Praise God. He can have that. That's his business. But for people who want it, people who are not satisfied with the kind of treatment they're getting, they're not satisfied with the medical model. They know there's something better. They intuitively understand that their body doesn't want poison, that it wants the good stuff. For those people, and there's millions of those people, millions, they need to hear our message. That's who we're talking to. I know we want to get customers. First of all, we have a business, and then we also have friends that we want to help, or even loved ones that we want to help. But, you know, not everybody wants to be helped. Not everybody wants to quit alcohol. Not everybody wants to, you know, be helped walking down the street, right? You got to pick your, help people who want to be helped, basically.
That's very true. That's very true.
Thank you
Right?
very much, Pharmacist Ben.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
what
you.
I thought, but I really like to hear it from you.
There you go. Yes, there's nothing inherently burning and beyond tangy tangerine. That tells me the system is predisposed. The predisposition almost always comes in from the gut. Or injections if he's injecting too.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't do that. No.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I do have other questions here, but I know that
Let's do one more. How you guys doing out there in Aussie land? Everybody good? I can't
Yeah,
see.
they're
It's all
pretty
just
good.
blank.
We're
Okay,
excited
so
about your election. We're excited about your election, Ben.
You are?
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody has to
You know
tell us.
what? You know what? There's this poster I saw once a long time ago. It's a picture of a bird. And it says, and on the picture of the bird, it says left wing, right wing, same bird.
yep,
Correct.
exactly. That's a bit like that here too. Okay, so I have a friend whose daughter had her thyroid taken out and is on thyroid meds.
Yeah,
and
that's a very,
now,
very tough.
Yeah, and
that's a
now
tough
her
one.
heart is having issues and it's racing out of control.
It's not just her heart. It's not just her heart. Everything's gonna have issues. The thyroid is the jumping off point to everything.
Yeah. So if they've had it removed, what can we do to?
I'll tell you in a second. Because the thyroid is like, it's like your foot on the gas pedal for a cell, right?
Yep.
The thyroid, which makes thyroid hormone, is the gland that is responsible for making skin cells skin, heart cells heart, muscle cells muscle, kidney cells kidney, eye cells eye, immune cells immune, liver cells liver. All the cells do what they do when the thyroid tells them to do it. So it controls all the behavior, which means once you have a thyroid problem, nothing's going to work correctly. Nothing. To make matters worse, when you don't have a thyroid, you have an emergency hormone system that runs everything. That's your cortisol system and your adrenal glands. And this is an emergency system. I don't know if you ever had this experience with your computer where your computer goes into safe mode.
Yes, I've had that way too often.
Right. It can do just a couple things. It can't do everything. Under regulation of the secondary energy system, which kicks in when you don't have a thyroid, now your body does stuff, but doesn't do it great. Does the basics, but doesn't do great. What's worse is the adrenal system and the cortisol system that's picking up the slack for the thyroid doesn't give you clean energy. It gives you coffee energy, jittery energy, really fast energy. So people without a thyroid are going to be more prone towards hypertension and racing hearts and shallow breathing and all insomnia and suppressed immunity and all the things that kick in when your your adrenals and your emergency nervous system kicks in. The adrenal glands and cortisol kick in. So for anybody without a thyroid, the mighty 9 essential nutrients are non-negotiable because they have a calming effect on the body. And the body, when you're running on emergency energy, you're burning through nutrients really, really fast. So you're going to run into deficiencies really, really fast. And that's on top of already compromised system because you don't have a thyroid. So it's a big old mess. And this person has to be highly motivated to do everything. If you want to do the minimum, BTT is the minimum. But really, this is a person, it's a kid, you said, right?
Yes. Well, a young lady.
30s?
She's
How
married.
old?
So she's
How old?
She'd be in roughly her 30s, early 30s.
She has a long life ahead of her if she does it right, and not a long life if she doesn't do it right.
Mhm.
So you want to tell her this. They can't, what they'll do, if you, they take your thought, first of all, well, two things. If she had her thyroid out, the main reason they do that is for cancer.
Yes.
Okay. Now,
I believe that is so. I've
Okay.
since found out that.
So aside from the fact that thyroid cancer is one of the most overdiagnosed of all cancers, okay, they like taking out thyroids. A lot of them are taken out. Aside from that, if she does have thyroid cancer, that means she's already suffering from an imbalance somewhere. Now you've further thrown the system off. So this is a woman, it's imperative that she does all the good things right, including the mighty 9 essential nutrients, but the whole shebang, everything we talk about, with the overall umbrella picture theme of calming everything down. The strategy that the doctors give when you don't have a thyroid is to give you pharmacological thyroid hormone. Pharmacology. We have ours is called synthroid, levothyroxine, cytomel. There's a few different names for it. Every year in the United States, probably because you guys are similar to us, every year, thyroid medicine, levothyroxine, thyroid hormone, is in the top 10 drugs dispensed every year. Last year was the #1 drug dispensed.
Oh my goodness.
So it's an epidemic of thyroid problems, and there's nothing doctors can do except for, in case of cancer, take the thyroid out or give thyroid hormone. But you guys, if you've been listening closely, know exactly how you take care of thyroid issues. Triangle of disease. Remember, she's got a link. She doesn't have a thyroid now. Remember, there's this adrenal thyroid axis, this connection between the two. No thyroid, the adrenal glands are going to pick up the slack here. So what this person has to do is go back to the first 2 points on the triangle of disease, like non-negotiable. If she's young, she's got a full life ahead of her if she does it right. She can do it right, but she has to really do it right. She has to really pay attention.
So, some recommendations. So
everything, a healthy start pack to start. Correct digestive issues, if they're there, they're probably there because the thyroid regulates the digestive system. So chances are she's chronically constipated. Do you know this person, by the way?
no, I don't know her personally. No.
No, it's tough to do without knowing her, but because I have to ask some questions. But generally speaking, I-26, ultimate microbiome, ultimate enzymes, nightly essence, ketogenic diet, stay away from the bad foods, eat less, stabilize the blood sugar, use the healthy blood sugar pack supplements, work on the points of the triangle. Again, don't overthink. Everything boils, I'm repeating myself over and over again. Everything boils down to the triangle. Everything. Dirty blood, clean the blood, patch up the gut, stabilize the blood sugar system, calm the body down. It's like the same, you hear how we were like, there's this general idea that we keep repeating over and over again. It's a general theme of how you take care of the body, whether you had thyroid cancer or thyroid removed, or whether you have any other kind of cancer, whether you have acne, or whether you have psoriasis, or whether you have, whatever, autoimmune disease of some kind, or Parkinson's disease, or whatever.
Or rosacea.
We are simplifying. Job of a pharmacist is to make things simple. If Albert Einstein said, if you can't explain something to a kindergartner, you didn't understand it yourself. Simplify basics. The doctors, the medical model, I don't like saying doctors. They want us confused. Oh my, why do you think they speak in Latin? You ever read your prescription? It's in Latin. You think your doctor speaks Latin? No, he doesn't speak Latin. They want to write in Latin, so you don't know what the hell they're talking about. So it looks like, oh my God, my doctor's a wizard. He's got a little pointy hat and he's stirring things around like the medieval alchemist of some kind. No, they're disempowering us. They're taking our power away. And that really, ultimately, that's why I'm so passionate, because they are stealing our power. This is our power at its most fundamental level, which is health. And they're taking it from us by hiding, by lying, by saying, oh, you're going to get sick if you don't put this injection in you. Never mind the Coca-Cola and the McDonald's. Go have that. You're fine there. There's no connection. You know, you don't have to worry about those silly vitamins. They don't work. Vitamins don't work. I love that one. Vitamins don't work. Whatever that, I don't even know what that means. Vitamins don't work. But, you know, that's the implication.
We need it. I mean, you know, like you get natural vitamin D from the sun.
That's like saying water doesn't work. Water doesn't work.
Maybe air doesn't work either.
Yeah, air doesn't work either, right? Yeah, that's right, Bronie. Air doesn't work. Oh, you don't need air. It doesn't work.
No, of course it doesn't. All right. Well, thank you for your time today. Like I said, the other question was just about DAO, the DAO.
DAO, I know. That's probably the same lady. This woman is very persistent, whoever this woman is.
Yeah.
Because she knows that she's got to approach me from multiple angles if she wants to get an answer. So I got Bronie, I got Michelle, I got my company Truth, I've got Nasima, DAO. So I admire your persistence, whoever you are out there. DAO stands for diamine oxidase. You can buy it as a supplement, and it is your body's natural antihistamine. So if you're dealing with a histamine response from leaky gut, it's usually a leaky gut issue, and you find that certain foods trigger a histamine response. We've talked about histamine before. I don't want to repeat the whole thing, but histamine basically is associated with a lot of unpleasant, in fact, pretty much all unpleasant symptoms, from fibromyalgia to endometriosis to cancer, can all have a histamine component. And histamine largely comes in through the intestine, also through certain cells, immune cells, and it can also come in from foods. And certain foods can activate a histamine response. DAO is a hormone, enzyme that breaks down histamine. And some people, if they're having a histamine overload, may not have enough DAO. You can take it supplementally, and you can buy it anywhere. In fact, to this gal, I sent an email back to my company, and they're going to send. Hopefully, I sent it to you with a place to get it. But you can get it anywhere. It's a generic supplement. DAO, diamine oxidase.
Okay. So we don't have any, like our enzymes. Would they cover it?
No. Oh, they wouldn't hurt. They wouldn't hurt, but they're not going to. DAO is specific for histamine and other compounds, but specifically for histamine.
There you go. Well, we have gone past the hour.
Yes, we have. Thank you so much.
It's nothing unusual, and thank you very much, Ben, for your time.
Thank you, everybody.
And as I ask you all,
you know what? Hang on. In 2 weeks. Oh no, I'll be here in 2 weeks. I'm sorry. No, I won't be. Oh yeah, I will be. 18th is 2 weeks. I'll be here. Okay. I'm going away next week.
Okay. So as I ask you all nicely here in Bronie's order, I ask you to stay safe, stay informed, be empowered, but do not live in fear, my friends. And when you read the fine print carefully, then you too will be powerful, beautiful, brilliant, and most definitely very brave. God bless you all, and I'll catch you again tomorrow here in Bronie's world.
Love you.
Thank you, Bronie and Pharmacist Ben. Thanks very much, mate.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ben. Catch you. Bye.